Have you ever wished you could just stop caring? Stop caring about the promotion you didn't get. Stop caring about whether your work matters. Stop caring about spending 40+ hours a week doing something that feels completely meaningless. Maybe you're tired. Tired of asking if this is really it. Tired of scrolling job postings at midnight. But let me tell you something. As long as you keep asking your job to save you, it will continue to torment you. As long as you believe the right career will make you feel whole, you'll remain a hostage to every Sunday evening, every performance review, every moment when you're alone with, what am I doing with my life? There is another way, but it's not about finding your passion. It's about accepting that your work will never give you cosmic meaning, and choosing to work anyway. This is the philosophy of the absurd, and it might be the most liberating thing you'll ever hear about your 9-to-5. Let's get started. Part 1. The lie. You've been sold a lie your entire life. Find your passion. Discover your calling. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. You believed it. You went to college, took on debt, climbed the ladder. Because somewhere beneath the exhaustion, you held on to this. If I just find the right career, my life will finally feel meaningful. But here's what happened. You found the career. You got the position. And the emptiness didn't go away. So you told yourself, maybe my real purpose is somewhere else. And you kept searching, kept pivoting. Modern work culture has an answer ready. You haven't found your purpose yet. You need to build something that matters. So you add a side hustle. You wake up at 5 a.m. You turn rest into guilt. And still, the emptiness remains. What if the problem isn't your job? What if the problem is believing there's a purpose to discover in the first place? Every time you switch jobs, every time you pursue a promotion, you're not looking for better work. You're looking for proof that your existence matters. But here's the truth. Your job can't do that. No job can. The universe doesn't answer. You wake up. You work. You sleep. Repeat. Projects end. New ones begin. And if you're paying attention, you start to see the pattern. This is it. There's no destination where it suddenly makes sense. The philosopher Albert Camus had a word for this: the absurd. You are a meaning-seeking creature dropped into a universe that offers no inherent meaning. You need purpose. And the universe? Silent, indifferent. This collision between your demand for meaning and the world's refusal to provide it. This is the absurd. Camus wrote about Sisyphus, condemned to push a boulder up a mountain, watch it roll back down, and do it again. Forever. But Camus saw your morning commute, your inbox that never reaches zero, your quarterly reviews that lead to more quarterly reviews. The repetitive nature of your 9-to-5 isn't evidence you're in the wrong job. It's the fundamental structure of existence itself. When you feel that Sunday dread, that's existential anxiety. That's you brushing up against the truth that your work will never save you. And most people run. Part 2. The flight. Let me describe how you're running right now. Maybe you tell yourself, I just haven't found the right fit yet. So you research industries, you pivot to the new company, and it's exciting. For 3 months. Then the pattern returns. This wasn't it either. I need to keep searching. The search becomes the point. As long as you're searching, you don't have to face the possibility that there's nothing to find. Or maybe you chase the next promotion, the next salary milestone. When I hit 6 figures, then I'll feel fulfilled. But when you get there, the satisfaction lasts a day. You're running on a treadmill, mistaking movement for progress. Or perhaps you try to force meaning into your work. I'm not just processing data, I'm helping customers. But be honest, how long does this actually sustain you? Then there's another escape. You keep your 9 to 5 but pour your passion into something else. The startup, the creative project. Your day job becomes something to tolerate until your actual purpose can pay the bills. You've split yourself in 2. Do you see the pattern? When faced with the absurd, you panic and escape. You're pursuing these things because as long as you're pursuing something, you don't have to sit with, what if there is no purpose to find? The work becomes a distraction. And here's the cruelty. The more desperately you search for purpose through work, the more exhausted you become. You're not just working. You're asking your job to justify your entire existence. Every email becomes existential. Every setback feels like proof you're on the wrong path. So you try harder, search longer, but nothing changes. What if that belief is the prison? Part 3. The traps. You've realized your work will never give you cosmic purpose. What now? Most people fall into one of 2 traps. Some people can't tolerate the anxiety, so they build structures to avoid it. They become converts to entrepreneurship, corporate success, impact work. They cling desperately. They attend networking events religiously. They speak the sacred language, disruption, synergy, mission-driven. But watch closely. They can't rest, can't question. Because the moment they stop performing belief, doubt creeps back in. They've chosen certainty over truth. They're working to avoid the terrifying possibility that none of it matters. Now they're dealing with meaningless work and the exhausting performance of pretending it's meaningful. Then there are others who go the opposite direction. Nothing matters? Fine, I'll stop caring. They show up as ghosts, minimum effort, or they numb themselves, scrolling, substances, anything to avoid consciousness. They wear disillusionment like armor. But here's what they won't admit. They're still suffering. Maybe more. Checking out just replaces one pain with another. Emptiness of disengagement. They're bitter, contemptuous. This isn't awakening. This is giving up and calling it philosophy. This is nihilism. It concludes, therefore nothing I do matters. Why bother? But that doesn't follow. Just because the universe doesn't hand you purpose doesn't mean your choices are meaningless. It means the opposite. Both responses are still running from the absurd. But what if there's a third way? What if you could look at meaninglessness directly and still choose to work? Because you're alive, conscious, and you've decided to engage anyway. Part 4. The Revolt. Here's what Camus understood. The point isn't to resolve the tension. The point is to live inside it. You've been treating the absurd like a problem to solve. But what if the question isn't, how do I make my work meaningful? What if it's, how do I work in a world without inherent meaning? That shift changes everything. Camus called this revolt. Revolt as in, I see the absurdity clearly, and I choose to engage anyway. Not because I've found an answer, but because I'm alive, conscious, and I choose to act. You wake up, the work repeats, the boulder rolls back down, and you push it again. Not hoping today will be different, but because you're here, you're capable, and you've decided to push. That decision, that conscious choice, that's freedom. You're free within the absurd. You can work hard, relentlessly hard, without needing work to justify your existence. You can pursue excellence without needing it to make you significant. Before, every task carried existential desperation. Now, you work because you choose to work, fully conscious it won't save you. And that changes everything. You're no longer at mercy of outcomes. Your worth isn't attached to the promotion. This is what it means to be untouchable at work. Not because nothing affects you, but because you've stopped asking work to carry a burden it was never meant to carry. Project fails? Disappointing, but doesn't destroy you. Promotion doesn't come. Frustrating, but not an existential crisis. Colleague criticizes you. You hear it objectively, because you're not your work. You've separated your being from your doing. You can actually do better work. You're not paralyzed by the need for every task to be meaningful. You're just present, engaged. Here's the paradox. When you stop asking work to mean something, you can finally bring your full self to it. When you accept the boulder will roll back down, you can finally push with everything you have. Camus said, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. Happy, pushing a boulder for eternity, because Sisyphus stopped asking the boulder to mean something. Stopped hoping it would stay at the top. He accepted the absurd and reclaimed his freedom. The boulder is still there. The work still repeats. But he's no longer tormented. He pushes because he pushes, and that's enough. The freedom you're looking for doesn't come from finding the right job. It comes from accepting no job will ever be right, and working anyway. Not with resentment, not with apathy, but with clear-eyed awareness that you're choosing this. You're choosing to engage with the absurd. And that choice is where your power lives. Not in the outcome, not in the meaning, in the choice itself. This is revolt. This is freedom. Part 5. The Pitfalls. But be clear, this isn't a one-time realization. It's a practice. You might accept the meaninglessness, but really, you're angry about it. You show up with resentment. You're contemptuous of colleagues. This isn't acceptance. This is disappointment wearing a philosophical mask. Real acceptance comes with clarity, not resentment. Or maybe you stop bringing any energy. You're just there, never engaged. This is acceptance without action. Remember, accept the absurd and then engage anyway. The boulder doesn't push itself. Then there's the subtle pitfall. You understand absurdism intellectually. You can explain Camus, but emotionally, you're still searching. You've replaced the search for meaningful work with the search for philosophical understanding. Real acceptance shows up in your actions, not your vocabulary. And finally, using the absurd as permission. Nothing matters, so why do good work? This is nihilism disguised as absurdism. Accepting work lacks inherent meaning doesn't free you from responsibility. It intensifies it. The only meaning your work has is the meaning you create through your choices. The absurd places the full weight of your choices on your shoulders. That's the heaviest responsibility there is. Part 6. The freedom. What does it actually look like to work this way? You wake up Monday morning. Not excited, but not filled with dread. You're simply awake. And you've decided to show up. You have tasks waiting. Some interesting, some mundane. You're not asking them to be earth-shattering. You work on the spreadsheet, attend the meeting, solve the problem, because you're capable of doing them well, and you've chosen to. Colleague frustrates you. Project hits an obstacle. Doesn't send you into existential spiral, because your self-worth isn't attached to outcome. You're just present. Someone asks, "What do you do?" You answer, but you're not hoping they'll be impressed. You've stopped asking work to tell you who you are. You can be ambitious, set goals, pursue promotions, but your ambition isn't about filling a void. It's about what you choose to build while you're alive. You fail sometimes. Projects fall apart. You don't get promoted. And it doesn't destroy you. You succeed sometimes. You hit the goal, get recognized, and you're not disappointed when satisfaction fades, because you never expected it to last. You pushed the boulder up. It rolled back down. You'll push again tomorrow, and you're okay with that. This is freedom. The freedom of working without the crushing weight of existential desperation. You're doing a task that will repeat tomorrow. The boulder will roll back down, and you're okay with that. Not because you've given up, but because you've stopped asking the boulder to justify your existence. When you stop asking work to be meaningful, you might actually start to enjoy it. Not because work changed, but because you stopped drowning it in existential anxiety. You can appreciate the craft of a well-written email, the satisfaction of solving a problem. Not because these matter cosmically, but because you're doing them now, and you're conscious enough to notice. The absurd hasn't disappeared, but you're no longer fighting it. You've made peace with the repetition, and in that peace, you've found joy. The joy of being fully present in a life you've chosen to engage with. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, not because the boulder stopped rolling, but because he stopped asking for a reason. He pushes because he pushes. You work because you work. And that's enough. Tomorrow morning you'll wake up. You'll go to work. You'll do tasks that will need to be done again. The work won't give your life cosmic meaning. It never will. So here's the only question. Can you work anyway? Can you show up knowing your job won't save you and work hard regardless? Can you engage fully with the repetition, the absurdity, without running, without escaping? This isn't resignation. This is, I choose to work, knowing it won't save me, and I'm working anyway. That's revolt. That's you saying, I'll create meaning through my choices. Not because it matters to the universe, but because I'm alive. That's freedom. Freedom in how you relate to it. Because there is no right path, there never was. There's only the path you choose, knowing no choice will satisfy the hunger for cosmic purpose. And choosing anyway. Tomorrow morning the boulder will be there. Most people will feel dread. They'll drag themselves to work, still searching, still waiting. But you have a choice. You can wake up, look at the boulder, and make peace with what it is. Not because you've found a reason, but because you're here and you've decided to push. Not for purpose, not for meaning, for the simple reason that you're alive and you're choosing to engage with your life. That choice is available right now. The work won't change, but you can change. Will you? Will you keep searching? Or will you finally stop and just work? Fully conscious, fully present, and working anyway. Because you're alive, because you can, because you've chosen to. That's the choice. The boulder waits. What will you do with it? If this has touched something inside you, write in the comments, "I choose to push." Tomorrow morning, the boulder will be there. You already know what you're going to do.